Alrighty, folks, this is Ethelr, and welcome to the channel. I know it's been a while since I posted a video, and I apologize for that, but I'm finally back to my normal schedule, and I just thought I would bring you the news and introduction to a new series. So I'm gonna be doing probably 1 or 2 videos a week, and I'll be getting these out, fairly regularly on the weekends and maybe sometime in the weekdays. So today I'm going to be starting a series sort of guides, and essentially what they will be is guides on a new player getting into MMOs. Now, I'm fairly recent to MMOs, so I think that I will have a good perspective. I hope that I will have a good perspective on getting into MMOs, since I'm a newer player than many of the people doing guides out there. And that's why I wanted to do these guides, because something like what I'm going to do would have been helpful if I could have found it when I was getting into MMOs. Now, I didn't start with World of Warcraft. I started actually with Star Wars: The Old Republic, which isn't is defunct in the competitively in the MMO scene right now. And World of Warcraft, of course, is back on top. So as a new player to MMOs, you will log in, get all of that stuff set up. Now, installation guides, there are plenty of installation guides. So, when you first get started, you will log into the game, and you will have a screen. By the way, this is episode 1 of a series that will be ongoing. So you will log into the game, into World of Warcraft or whatever MMO, and this is going to be general for as much as possible, but, specific to WoW in addition to that. So you'll have some sort of character, server selection. I would recommend not starting on a PvP server, even if you're a PvPer. PvP being player versus player, PvE being player versus the environment. So you're the player against the AI, essentially. I wouldn't recommend starting on a PvP server unless you already know people on there who can help you. So you will start at some sort of character selection. After you select your server, you'll start at some sort of character selection screen. At which point, you will be presented with a screen that allows you to choose the various aspects of your character, gender and race. In World of Warcraft, in this instance, and often in many other games as well. And then the other thing you'll need to choose when you create a character is your class. And that's one of the big topics of today's guide, is choosing your class. Now, in my opinion, there are really 2 ways to choose your class. You can either, just kind of glance at the brief descriptions, this sort of thing. Just glance at it real quick and be like, oh, that sounds cool, I'm going to play that. Sort of your gut reaction. Be like, just pick the class that sounds interesting. And then, of course, the other way is to go online and, Google the descriptions of the class, what people recommend, watch YouTube videos of the gameplay, etc. And that's if you really, truly want to pick a class that will really be good for you. That's what I would recommend you do. Now, as long as you enjoy it, it doesn't really matter. So you'll pick your class, and you'll get started, and so we'll go ahead and pick. Let's make a warrior. So we'll go ahead and name it that. We'll make. Hold on here. Let's actually make, for the purposes of this, we'll do another human alliance warrior. Male warrior, customize, yes. Okay, and you can customize your character, and I won't, mess with any of that. So then you'll be presented with your login screen here. Now we're gonna go ahead and skip this. I will delete this real quick. And to skip all of the junk at the beginning. So you'll be presented with this, you'll log into your character, and then, of course, as soon as you're... Maybe. There we go. Nope. There we are. Then, of course, you won't have all of this junk on your screen. Because those are add-ons. So you log in. Maybe. There we go. You log in, and I'm going to go ahead and disable all of my add-ons for this character. Just for the purposes of this. So presumably you'll load in, and you'll have your click bars looking, and you won't load in necessarily in an area like this. You'll load in your starting area, and you'll have a quest which will be marked by. So your starting quest, you won't start with your starting quest. You'll go through a cutscene, and then you'll end up facing an NPC somewhat like this. And this yellow marker here in front of my character, the yellow exclamation mark, signifies that you will see this marker, and it signifies that this NPC, non-player character, has a quest. You will pick up this quest and start following its objectives, which will be marked on the mini-map in the top right-hand corner of your screen with a blue marker of some sort. For instance, whoops. This kind of marker will appear on your mini-map, or it'll appear as an arrow if it's out of range of your mini-map. And so you follow that, complete the quest objectives. But the most important thing you can do as a new player is to set your keybinds. That is the absolute most important thing. The biggest thing you can do as a new player is to use keybinds. That's the best thing you can do. As a player, especially in PvP, this is relevant for PvE as well, but it's especially important in PvP. I can turn much faster. I'm using my mouse to turn right now, and I'm holding the right mouse button and turning quickly. This is something you should check out. You can turn much faster doing that than by what's called keyboard turning, and I can't do that. Actually, can't do that on this character. But keyboard turning is about this speed, much slower. So it pays to be holding the right mouse button and control your character this way, and then your W, A, S, and D keys control it, strafing and going forward. So that's very important to remember, is to not keyboard turn, but turn with your mouse. Now the most important thing you can do as a new MMO player is to set up your keybinds. So keybinding, essentially the point of keybinding is to make you a more efficient player. You use your abilities more efficiently. If you look here in the bottom corner along my hotbar, I can spam these abilities much more quickly than I can click them. I have to go like this and, click all of these abilities. Oops, didn't mean to use that. So it's important to keybind. And if you hear somebody saying, no, you don't need to keybind, you can click your abilities just as fast as somebody who keybinds. Wrong. False. That is not a true statement. You would have to be clicking with like 5 mouse buttons to click as fast as somebody who can use their keybinds, spamming their keybinds like this. It is by far the faster method to use your keybinds. Now, for the purposes of this, I'm going to go ahead and re-enable my add-ons so that you can see how I keybind. I would recommend that you get the Bartender add-on. You can Google Bartender World of Warcraft add-on, and it should take you to the Curse Gaming website, and you can download it from there, and it explains how to install it on the website as well. And that it makes your bars nice and clear, and it gets rid of, you can mess with it, gets rid of all the stupid Blizzard art bars, and I can make I can do an add-ons thing. I'll do an add-ons thing later. But anyway, for the purposes of this, you see my keybinds here. You see on the bottom center of the screen me spamming the buttons here. So how I keybind is 1 through 6 here. If you see the buttons that are lighting up, these buttons are my main offensive abilities or healing abilities, depending on the kind of character you're playing. Those 6. Most abilities will fit into that, and then I use X, C, V, and a few of these as other abilities. So the letter keys Q, E, R, T, F, G, etc. I use as either stuns, controls, or as other offensive abilities, or utility abilities. You know, like if I'm playing a damage character that has a healing ability of some sort, often will put that on these keys. And I use Q as my interrupt, so I can stop somebody from casting. And then my defensive abilities, I often put where you see N1 through N-. That's number pad. And now I have a Razer Naga mouse, and I'll do a bit of a guide with mouse stuff later on. So anyway, the last thing you need to know getting into a new MMO is it's very important to keybind. Now, keybinding is not something that you necessarily can just throw keys on there. I would advise looking up a keybinding guide of some sort. Now, if you want to bind the way I do, what I would recommend is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 here, and then shift 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So shift as a modifier, and then using letter keys like I have here, and you can pause the video. And this is my trinket, my stun breaker, and another utility. And then I would recommend defensive cooldowns, maybe alt, alt and some of these abilities here. And that's how I would recommend. Now, many people will keybind by ability type, so they put all of their offensive abilities on the top line here with these, even if they're not the same keybind. I organize by bind. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, shift 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are in the top row, and then the letter keys Q, E, R, T, F, etc. are on the second row, and then my number pad defensive keys are on the next row, and then modified number pad keys are on the third row. Or fourth row, excuse me. And it's how you keybind is completely up to you rather, as long as it works, as long as it improves your playing ability. So, to recap for this video, getting started, you'll come to a loading screen, you'll load in, you'll grab your first quest, but before you do that, you should check your settings to make sure your computer is running optimally. I have mine set relatively high because I have a pretty good computer. Check your various settings to make sure that you have everything the way you want, and then keybind. It's very important to keybind. Very, very, very important. This will automatically make you a much better player, even if you have no idea what you're doing. You will be a much better player just for keybinding. And then once you've done all of that, grab your quest and start questing. And have some fun. And thank you for participating in this first guide. He looks happy, doesn't he?